Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tracing what is, honestly, one of the most profound, emotionally charged character transformations in modern storytelling. We're looking at the life of Gaara of the Sand. I mean, here's a guy who was literally born to be a feared weapon, yet somehow evolves into a deeply beloved leader. It's an absolutely incredible story about isolation, the devastating impact of trauma, and ultimately the incredible healing power of empathy.
Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. A tragic beginning, 2. The monster of the sand, 3. The power of empathy, 4. Becoming the Kazekage, 5. Commander of the Alliance, and finally, 6. A future built on love.
All right, Section 1, A Tragic Beginning, the Isolated Jinchuriki. So to really understand Gaara, we first have to wrap our heads around the incredibly heavy, just suffocating atmosphere of his early life in the Hidden Sand Village. Because he wasn't just born, right? He was engineered to be a tool of war. And his life was marked by extreme trauma literally from day one. Actually, scratch that, even before day one. While he was still in his mother's womb, his father, the fourth Kazekage, ordered the one-tailed beast, Shukaku, to be sealed inside him. This made him a Jinchuriki, a living human weapon holding this terrifying tailed beast. And because of this, Gaara was born prematurely, and tragically, his mother Karura died during childbirth. Growing up, he was completely isolated. The villagers were absolutely terrified of him. And his own father? His father continuously sent assassins after him just to test his strength. Can you imagine? The only person who cared for him, the one who taught him that physical pain can heal but an aching heart needs love, was his uncle, Yashimaru. But then came the ultimate betrayal. Why did the only person who loved him try to kill him? Just pause and imagine that for a second. The single person you trust in the entire world suddenly turns around and attacks you. Yashimaru, acting on orders from Gaara's father, attempted to assassinate this young boy. But honestly, worse than the physical attack itself were the devastating lies Yashimaru told him right before blowing himself up. He claimed that he actually volunteered for this assassination mission because he secretly hated Gaara. He blamed him for causing his sister Karara's death, and to twist the knife, he told Gaara that his mother never loved him either. This moment right here, it brilliantly illustrates exactly how he became so warped. Believing that nobody in the entire world would ever love him, Gaara literally uses his sand to carve the symbol for love directly into his forehead. But, it's a dark, totally twisted promise. He vows to only love himself and to survive purely as a weapon. This is the exact second he shifts from being an innocent, isolated victim into a genuinely terrifying, self-obsessed threat. Moving on to Section 2, the monster of the sand, the Chunin exams. So that monstrous threat eventually arrives right at the doorstep of the Hidden Leaf Village. Gaara is no longer that scared little kid. He's a fully realized weapon, operating under his father's orders to eventually destroy the village. 1 hour and 37 minutes. I just want to halt the narrative right here to really emphasize how insane his power had become. That is the staggering, absolutely record-breaking time it took Gaara and his siblings to clear the deadly forest of death phase of the exams. It was so fast that the proctors literally couldn't believe it. And on top of that, he emerged completely untouched. Not a single scratch. His presence during these exams was just an absolute reign of terror. Think about his fight with Rock Lee. Even after Lee miraculously managed to bypass his defenses, Gaara ultimately used his sand to just crush Lee's arm and leg, nearly ending his career as a ninja right then and there. And against Sasuke. When Sasuke actually managed to draw Gaara's blood using his lightning attack, the Chidori, Gaara started fully transforming into the one-tailed beast. He even threatened to murder his own siblings, Temari and Kankuro, if they got in his way. His sand acted as this absolute isolating barrier. It wasn't just physical armor protecting his body, it was a wall completely shutting out the rest of the world and any chance at human connection. All right, Section 3, the power of empathy, meeting Naruto. This is where we hit the massive turning point of our explainer today. The whole narrative suddenly shifts from this dark, suffocating isolation to a real glimmer of hope, and it's all triggered by meeting one very specific person. The crucial thing to understand here is that Gaara and Naruto are fundamentally two sides of the exact same coin. They both grew up as feared Jinchuriki. They both knew the absolute crippling pain of total loneliness. But here's the difference. Where Gaara was manipulated by Yashimaru's lies to fight strictly for himself, Naruto found his strength and his purpose by fighting to protect the friends who finally accepted him. Because of this, Naruto was truly the only person in the entire world capable of saving Gaara. He was the only one who truly understood his pain. During their massive, chaotic fight, Naruto manages to summon Gamabunta and physically wakes Gaara up from his Shikaku trance. Then, completely out of chakra, Naruto literally headbutts Gaara, just crawls toward him and tells him, plain and simple, that his friends are his strength and he will do anything to protect them. This profound, raw empathy, it completely shatters Gaara's worldview. He realizes that his path of twisted self-love is actually so much weaker than Naruto's path of selfless love. And as he's being carried away after the battle for the very first time in his life, Gaara genuinely apologizes to his siblings.
Section 4. Becoming the Kazekage, the Protector. The impact of that single fight completely redirects the trajectory of Gaara's entire life. He heads back to the Sand Village with a brand new mission. He wants to earn the love of his people exactly like Naruto was doing. And astonishingly, he actually pulls it off, rising all the way up to become the 5th Kazekage. Now, what's really interesting here is how Gaara completely recontextualizes his power. When the Akatsuki member Deidara attacks and drops a massive explosive on the village, Gaara doesn't just use his sound to protect himself anymore. Nope. He uses almost all his energy to cast this giant sand shield over the entire village. And even after Deidara manages to sneak explosives into his defenses, Gaara still makes sure to pull all that dangerous, falling sand safely outside the village walls right before he loses consciousness. He weaponized his protective sand for others, offering his own life as a sacrifice.
But of course, that sacrifice came at a brutal cost. The Akatsuki successfully extracted Shukaku, which literally killed Gaara. But then, a miracle happens. And it's such a beautifully ironic moment, isn't it? Naruto, the Leaf Village ninjas, and the Sand Village Elder Chiyo rally desperately to save him. Elder Chiyo actually trades her own remaining life force to revive him. The very boy that his own village once constantly tried to assassinate opens his eyes, and what does he see? He's surrounded by friends, allies, and a village that now deeply loves and respects him. Which brings us to Section 5, Commander of the Alliance, the Fourth Great Ninja War. Because of these incredible bonds he's built, when the Fourth Great Ninja War breaks out, Gaara's role expands from just protecting his village to protecting the entire world. He is appointed the Commander-in-Chief of the Allied Shinobi Forces. So he's standing before thousands of divided, bickering ninjas from different villages, people holding on to literal generations of grudges. He actually uses his sand to physically separate them from fighting each other, and then delivers this absolute masterclass of a speech. He openly shares his dark past, admitting he was once a monster of hate, and talks about how a single ninja from the Hidden Leaf saved him. He unites them all through their shared goal of protecting Naruto, shouting, "If you still hold a grudge against the sand, then come and take my head after this war." And boom, the entire army is instantly galvanized. This newfound unity sets the stage for what is honestly an incredibly stunning, tactical, and emotional reunion on the battlefield. Gaara is forced to confront his reanimated father, Rasa. Rasa attacks him using his heavy gold dust, fully expecting Gaara to rely on the one-tailed beast to survive. But instead, Gaara easily blocks the gold attack with his own sand, fighting entirely on his own strength now. And as he blocks it, something amazing happens. His sand literally takes the protective shape of his mother, Kuruma. Seeing this, Rasa finally breaks down and confesses the truth. The sand that had shielded Gaara his entire life, it was never the tailed beast's power. It was the physical manifestation of his mother's dying will and her absolute love for him. Rasa admits that he was the one who ordered Yashimaru to lie to Gaara, just to test his emotional stability as a weapon. Gaara completely breaks down in tears. I mean, in a single moment, his entire traumatic childhood is completely reframed. It goes from a story of utter abandonment and betrayal into a story of enduring maternal protection. He forgives his father right there, sealing him away with genuine peace in his heart. And that brings us to Section 6, a future built on love, a lasting legacy. So, with the ghosts of his past finally put to rest, Gaara steps forward into a future where he is fully healed, and for the first time, deeply connected to the world around him. His ongoing legacy just demonstrates how incredibly far he's come from being that isolated monster. He fights valiantly right to the bitter end against Madara Uchiha alongside the other Kage. When he gets trapped in the ultimate dream illusion, the infinite Tsukuyomi, you know what his deepest subconscious desire is? It isn't power. It's not revenge. It's simply having a happy childhood with his family and playing with his best friend Naruto. Years later, he leads this super perilous rescue mission into the Land of Silence, just to save Shikamaru, purely out of loyalty. And eventually, he proudly travels over to the Leaf Village to attend Naruto and Hinata's wedding, making sure their village is completely protected while the celebrations take place. Just look at that journey. From a living weapon designed strictly for destruction, cursed with the word love as a mark of supreme selfishness, to a wise, compassionate leader who literally united the entire shinobi world. It leaves us with such a profound question. If the most feared monster can become the most beloved leader, what does that say about our own capacity to change, to heal, and to eventually protect those around us? Think about that for a bit. Thank you so much for hanging out and exploring this incredible narrative with me on today's Explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.